into this game because I want to talk. I want to talk about this game in a little bit more detail here, and I've got to start with Mohamed Salah. That's where I have to start this conversation. I can't not. The 3GA today, the goals, the assists, phenomenal. I thought his overall play. Don comes on the Chelsea fan comes on the terrace. Great guy. He always talks about what do you do other than the GA. He uses that a lot when he's talking about players, which is a fair piece of analysis. Mohamed Salah was such a constant threat. His final ball wasn't always there. Nobody's ever is. His shots weren't all perfect. Nobody's ever are. But he was a consistent thorn in the side of West Ham today. If he didn't score in this match, it would still have been a very good performance. The danger, the pressure, the anxiety that he sends through the teams that he's defending against, it creates a problem all over the pitch because he is that potent and that dangerous. 8 seasons running, Mohamed Salah has now scored 20 plus goals. 8 times this season, he has got a goal and an assist in the same game. And I want to give you some context of how hard that is. We all know that Eden Hazard is one of the best attackers the Premier League has ever had. One of the best creators, good goal scorer in his pomp is amazing. He managed 7 games in his entire Premier League career where he got a goal and an assist in the same game. I'm just trying to show you how hard it is to deliver that. A player of the level of Eden Hazard did it 7 times in, 6 or 7 years he was here. Salah this season has done it 8 times. The form this man is in is sublime. Been talking about it for a few years. He's in the GOAT conversation with what looks like being a very potent year in terms of trophy returns for Salah. And, of course, Liverpool. Those conversations are going to start to heat up massively. He was phenomenal today, I felt. Luis Diaz started the season well with lots of goals. Hit a little bit of a sticky period, but he's now starting to find his feet. He's starting to put the ball in the back of the net again. A little fortuitous how the first opportunity fell to him, but he buried it very, very well indeed. Gakpo getting on the score sheet again today. And I just feel that so many of these players that were looking a little bit leggy, looking a little bit out of place, maybe is the right word for it, under Jurgen Klopp last season, have been so good for Liverpool this year. And yes, Salah is head and shoulders above the rest in that front line. But between Gakpo and Diaz, they've stepped up this season. Jota coming back into the team today. He's returning from injury, getting fit, picking up another goal. Trent Alexander-Arnold's, look, there was a deflection and it goes in. But you got to buy a ticket if you want to win the prize. And he did. He took the shot. He got the goal. And it was a beatdown overall. Liverpool look unstoppable right now. They look unstoppable right now. And if Chelsea, if Arsenal, if City, if any of these teams that will win the Premier League from this point, it would be one of the greatest title wins in the history of the Premier League because this Liverpool team is one of the best teams in the world. They're formidable. They're clinical. The backline will get barely mentioned today. Yes, there was a good shot from Mohamed Kudus. There was a shot that hit the bar as well, and he's amazing talent. He's got to leave West Ham. Every time a ball went into the box today, Van Dijk, he was there. Every single time. Van Dijk, amazing. Gomez comes in, has to play him very well, comes off with an injury. Kwanzaa comes in. Yes, he's a level down from Konate, who's a level down from Gomez, but still top quality. I thought Trent today defensively was very sound as well. Gravenberch in the middle was able to come off early because I think if he picked up a booking, he misses the Man United game, which is frustrating. But another day, I thought he was playing in not second gear. He was in first gear. He barely broke sweat in that midfield battle today. And that's because individually he's excellent, but also the team, the way they work in unison. They're like one organism. It's frustrating as a Man United fan to watch it, but I can't do anything other than praise what I saw from Liverpool today. I really can't. And it sends a huge message to everybody that's challenging them for the title. 9-point gap now created. And I know I got a lot of stick the other day when Arsenal reduced it to 6. Same energy. That gap right now says 9 points. And it puts more pressure on Chelsea tomorrow and pressure on Arsenal on New Year's Day to close it. They cannot afford a single point to be dropped because Liverpool have extended that lead. And of course, if they drop points, Liverpool also have that game in hand, which is an insurance policy. But if the gap shortened, that game becomes more pressured for Liverpool. The gap's widened, they could afford to lose it and they're still in a very, very good position. So the pressure now massively on the two London clubs in Chelsea and Arsenal and Forest. Let's say Forest are in the title race as well, because that's who I want to win it now. But look, very, very good from Liverpool. And I want to go back to this comment earlier that says Slot was fortunate he's not needed a rebuild. And you're wrong. Slot isn't fortunate that he didn't need a rebuild in the sense of he has. I'm just going to timestamp this because I want to come back to this as a reference point at some stage. And the reason that I say this is he knew what he was walking into. He obviously had the interviews. He spoke to the board. He'd have had an understanding of the squad, but also he would have been talking to the likes of Hughes, talking to the likes of Edwards, and understanding where the club was. FSG and Liverpool, along with a number of other teams in the Premier League like Brighton, teams like Manchester City, have been building a very different club structure to what the majority of English clubs have been structured like forever, where it used to be everything done how the manager wants, and when a manager leaves, the whole world essentially changes. And that worked for a period of time. But modern day football changed. There was much more of a foreign influence on our game, and I don't think that's a bad thing. I think it's a very good thing in many cases. We're hiring a lot of coaches who come from footballing nations where managers don't run football clubs. The vast majority of European countries, there's head coaches, and they have presidents and sort of sporting directors and boards that make the footballing decisions at that club. And Liverpool have spent a long time building theirs. So I understand there's the banter of Slots coming in year one, phase one, and he's going to win the league title. And it's funny, and there's some banter in that. But then Liverpool they're not in phase one. It was not a restart at the beginning of the season. When Pep leaves Man City, there may be a need for a bit of a squad overhaul, 4 or 5 new players in, 4 or 5 new players out, but it isn't a rebuild of an entire team, an entire structure, an entire culture that is needed. Liverpool did that a decade ago. And what we're seeing, and I know some Liverpool fans want to play this down because they feel that it will big up Slot's achievements more, but I think you're missing a trick. The biggest thing you should be propping up is your football club, because you have transitioned from one manager to the next almost seamlessly, which is the entire point of your structure. We see Brighton do it on a regular basis, but maybe nobody hypes that up as much because they're a much smaller club, much smaller income, much smaller squad, less budgets. They're not able to go on and challenge for Premier Leagues and win Champions Leagues at this stage of their kind of development. I'm really now intrigued. So if you're a club that's built, that's what I say to Arsenal fans, don't panic if Arteta has to go. City fans, to a degree, don't even panic if Pep has to go. I believe the structures that your club have put in place, as long as you appoint the right head coach, because that can still go wrong, I still think you're going to maintain where you are. I think we have to get out of this mindset of, if my manager leaves, will fall apart. That happened to Man United with Fergie, because Fergie run the whole club. It happened with Arsenal, with Wenger, and they were crumbling with him at the football club. So I think Liverpool needs so much credit. And I'm taking nothing away from Slot because he has to be good enough to coach and manage a team at this level. It takes nothing away from his achievement. But I think what Arsenal fans, getting bantered about the Arteta stuff and this club getting bantered about that. What Liverpool fans need to focus here is, hang on, we can really prop up our football club and talk about how well run we are, how well structured we are, how we have an identity, how we know what we're doing. And I think that for me is the most standout thing about Liverpool's season so far that I'm so impressed with. I really, really am. And look, they've got brilliant players. And they're not going to be perfect. They'll make mistakes, and there'll be loads of things you could probably pick holes in and go, this was bad, and that was bad, and that signing weren't great, and they should have renewed this and done that, and that ticket price increase was terrible. No one's saying they're perfect because we're they're run by human beings, but it's phenomenal. And I just got to take my hat off to Liverpool because you can build a structure, you can build a formidable team, and then you get to a point where you have to change head coaches. That changing coach, that's when you really see how good everything you've built is. And so far, we are seeing that Liverpool's is impeccable. And the scary thing, and now this is what I don't even think Liverpool fans are comprehending, is in English football, there's been up and down eras where the top teams are brilliant and then they fall off a bit and then they're back and they fall off. And that is because the identity of the club was built by the manager. We are now moving into spaces like the Real Madrids, like the Bayern Munichs, and even in the nations where there isn't the money, so they don't do as well in the Champions League, but the Portugals and the Netherlands, where the clubs are all built in the image of the club and the board, not the manager. And that's why in all their respective countries, the vast majority of the top teams that were top teams 40, 50 years ago have never really fallen off. They either continuously win the league or they're always in and around the title races. They have a year or two here and there where they're not as good, but they come back very quickly. This is what I would be so excited about if I was a Liverpool fan, is you may never go through a barren 20-odd year period, 30-odd year period again if this structure is as good as it looks right now. It's maybe the biggest single biggest and best piece of news surrounding your club ever.